welcome to Fans, where today we are going to talk about the final five of Survivor 42.
Wow.
Talk about their paths to victory. What do they have to do tomorrow night on finale night to secure the bag? Can they secure the
I think
bag?
they just need to win. That's all they got to do. Simple.
What do they
Just
have
win.
to do? What steps do they have to take? What will their resume be? We're going to just break down all of their games, talk about some hypotheticals, probably have a few arguments. It'll be a great time.
Healthy
So,
debate. Healthy debate.
Just
Healthy
a
debate.
healthy debate like we love to do. So, gentlemen, how are you today?
Good.
Gentle.
Good.
I'm doing good. I just hope that they don't win a food reward of some donaires, because I just ate a couple donaires before coming on here, and I am suffering from the worst heartburn that I have
Robbie.
felt in my 35 years.
Kylie, what's a
Robbie,
donut?
explain to the Americans what a domain is.
Oh yeah. I guess it is Canada theme here for me tonight, so I'm gonna rock the Canada jersey, and donaires are something they eat in Canada. It's basically I don't know how to explain it, man. What even is donaire meat? People think it's like lamb, but it's beef, I think. And
Have y'all had euros?
Like a doner.
Yeah.
D-O-N-N-E-R, right? I've had one of
Yeah.
those in Ireland.
donaire.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was-
yeah.
it
Well,
was
that's
fun.
why it's mostly on the East Coast. But if you've ever had a euro,
Yes.
Gyros,
It was
it's the
Euro.
same thing.
Okay.
Same
Talking
thing.
about a sandwich, folks. All right.
Nope. No, that's not exactly it. But for the Americans, it can be.
All right.
All right, guys, this
well,
was a 30-second
let's
joke
dig
that's drug into about 2 minutes now. So
let's dig into some Survivor. I think tonight we're going to kind of start with the bottom of the barrel, who we think has the
Okay,
furthest.
so let's be real. Okay, so as we see this season, I think that it's like from top to bottom. I said it last time. I think it's Marianne, Lindsay, Mike, Jonathan, and then Romeo. That's what I think is like likely to win.
Yeah.
We each have taken a person, and we've all selected a person that we're gonna explain. But I think we should all start with Romeo collectively, because I don't think.
Can I ask a
any of
question
us-
before we do the collective Romeo? That top five, I think all four of us here agree on that top five. Maybe a little disagreement around Lindsay and Mike, maybe something around there, but we
Mike and
sort
John,
of
yeah.
agree. But how low is Romeo as compared to Jonathan, and how high is Marianne as compared to the Lindsay and Mike? Because I think they are I think the top and bottom actually have significant amounts of space between our sandwich, the middle of our sandwich.
Yeah, I agree. I think
agree.
you've got like Marianne way at the top, you've got Romeo way at the bottom, and then you kind of have this little cluster of Mike and Lindsay, and then you kind of got this Jonathan down here. But
a little bit of Jonathan
you know
here.
what? You see those challenges where they say, "Can you hold on for a minute or 2 minutes, whatever it is," and they got to hold on to the bar. I feel like that's what Jonathan is doing to the pack right now. He's holding on for dear life, and he's
barely in it.
But he's got the muscles to get him there, right?
but he's there.
Yeah.
And so just to give y'all an idea, we're going to talk about Romeo collectively. Then I'm going to talk about Jonathan. And then Sheldon here is, why does it do this? Okay. Like, why does it turn my picture into Sheldon?
I don't know if I
Sheldon
love
here, right here, guys. I don't know what happened to my camera.
Oh, and you're back.
I don't
Kylie.
understand. Okay.
Sheldon.
Sheldon is going to lead our discussion on Mike.
I got some crazy ideas for how Mike could win. He won't ever do it, but I got
am
ideas.
anxious to
Kevin
hear
is
that.
going to lead our discussion on Lindsay, and Robbie is going to take his Canadian Marianne. All right, so let's talk about Romeo. What has impressed you with Romeo this season? Robbie, tell us what has impressed you.
Honestly, when we did the preseason or whatever you want to call it, the cast assessment that we did earlier on, obviously before anything aired, I thought he was going to be a complete flop. And then you watch the first 3 episodes or so, give or take, and his social game, he was going after it. He was trying to make alliances with people, and he was extremely active early in the game. And I remember telling myself, man, I judged him totally wrong. And then he kept playing the game. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe I wasn't totally wrong. But he kind of got screwed, with I don't know, basically his tribe and how everything fell apart. But I don't know. I was impressed with how the effort that he put out early in the game.
It's really interesting because, like you're saying, pre-merge, he was in a very good position on his original tribe where, he was close with Drea, he was close with Roxroy. He, had his relationship a little bit with Tori. Like, if they had gone back to tribal council, he was not going to be the one voted off. He may not have even been the second one voted off. He
Exactly.
was in a great spot. And then we see this big alliance form of, kind of the power people from each original tribe, and Drea just leaves Romeo in the dust.
It was kind of interesting because Romeo going into the merge, I was shocked because I thought it was going to be a winner pick right there. I thought he was on his way to winning the game. He had put himself in a position with his own tribe. He just had to connect with a few people come merge, and he would be in the prime position to get it done. Yes, an alliance was formed that he was not a part of in terms of like the power players, if you will. Let's call it the Power Players Alliance. But if he was able to continue to work the bottom, him and Drea could have definitely done something together where she's in the power players, he's not in the power players, and then he's working with the bottom, and then they could share information, swap information, and get things going that way.
His tribe was never as tight, though. Sorry, keep going. Yeah.
Well, one thing that I found interesting was listening to Drea's some of her exit press. A lot of different exit people asked her, what happened to your relationship with Romeo? That was your number one ally out there pre-merge. And she said when we got to merge, he kind of just shut down around all the people. He shut down and kind of went to himself. So she's like, well, I got Rox. I got me and Rox. I thought Romeo was here too, but he's not here in the room. So I got me and Rox. And from then on, you didn't really see him making the necessary moves to be here towards the end, which is why it's really difficult for us to try to explain why amongst Chanel, Roxroy, Tori, High, these people, why they're going to vote for him to win. It's hard to explain that.
Right. Because, I think that probably all of the scenarios that we're going to lay out for the other four, I think Romeo's in damn near about all of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody's ideal scenario is going to include Romeo. It's very hard to imagine a scenario where Romeo isn't one of the final three people. Sheldon, do you think that there's anything Romeo could do? Like, let's, put the edit aside.
Sheldon said no. That is all.
Is there anything he can do?
I think the reason I think that is that I think Romeo's success in the beginning of the game was also his failure at the end of the game. And that was that he was unapologetically himself in the beginning. I think Drea knew exactly who she was playing with. And she was on a tribe of arguably some unlikable people. And the truth is, he is not the most likable individual. And no shade to him. I'm sure he's a wonderful human being if you get to know him. But I don't think he's that is open and warm and is charming. Like, it's really hard to make a real connection, which is not a surprise that he actually ended up at the merge and wasn't able to make any real connections. I wouldn't be surprised if he's actually an introvert and really struggles when there's a whole group of people as opposed to the 5 or 6 that they started with.
I think that's a very important point, Sheldon, is that this tribe started so small. There's 6 people out there, right? So it's you and 5 others. It's easy to try to connect with 2 people, 3 people. Then you get to the merge, and there's 12 other people there, something like that. You're like, oh man, it's a little different now.
Well, and contrast this.
So I think the larger crowd
and Jonathan. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So I think that a larger crowd plus he's not, I don't think he's a giving, loving, nurturing individual. Like, he has a heart service. I think he's been through a lot of crap in his life, and that's the way he does it. So I think, like, to me, like, I sort of think that it was a lot easier to say, well, bye, I got other people who actually want to play with me. And so he quickly became sadly the GOAT. Bah.
But
So I don't know.
Yeah, no, and this is what I wanted to hit towards too, because look at this, contrast this between Omar and Jonathan, where Romeo was somebody who I thought was going to play more in the background and be attached to some of the more dominant in-your-face people, like maybe a Drea or a Rox, like, you know, people from his tribe initially. And you see that with Omar, where he would play in the background, right? And he was going to everybody, playing with everybody on the bottom, making those connections or whatever. But Omar kept those connections with, you know, the more physical competitors, right? The more dominant characters on the season. Whereas right when the merge happens, you see Romeo is immediately almost disgusted by the bromances going on between Mike and Jonathan, and he starts mocking them when he's talking to people, like, do you not see this? Do you not see the macho whatever going on? And I get it. He was trying to kind of show like how big of a target they were. But like I said, comparing that to somebody like Omar, who was much more smooth with it initially, even though he was threatened by these people, I feel like Romeo was almost like separating himself from the group.
I mean, on top of that, you watch him pretty much look at Drea connecting with those bro he-mans and going, E2, Drea? E2?
Yeah.
You're also amongst them? I thought you were with me. I thought we connected. I thought I was helping shepherd you through this game. What how are you also with the bromans over there? I'm with you, Robbie. Like it was
I feel like day one or day two Romeo would have seen those relationships and tried to manipulate them. But by the time he got to the merge, he was just too tired.
So one thing I do think is interesting that Ed brings up is Romeo is a pageant coach. And so is he going to be able to perform in a final tribal council? Because that is basically what he does for a living. He coaches, you know, young people in how to be confident and to speak eloquently.
He teaches other people how to get in front of people. Does he ever go on stage in front of everybody?
That's, you know, what they say, those that can't do teach. So does he ball?
I'm a teacher. Hello. So I don't actually completely agree with what Ed is saying, that because he's a pageant coach, that he's an introvert, that he's not an introvert. I don't buy that, because you're coaching one-on-one. So I think it's just because it's an open and outward sort of thing, there's plenty of actors and actresses that are introverts that have the ability to go out there, put it on the stage, and then go and close the doors. I'm an introvert and I talk a lot, so I don't think that's it. But to me, it's just too late for Romeo. I think that he hasn't been able to create real deep relationships, and it's really hard to want to vote for Romeo unless he pulls off some crazy magic in the last few days. But even that, I don't know.
So let's throw that out. What crazy stuff could he do? Like if he wins the next two.
Okay, so Robbie, I'm Romeo. I've won the next two, right? I've won at 5. I've also now won at 4.
Yeah.
At 5, I also dictated the Marianne vote.
And you found, let's say you even find whatever this thing is that they're all hunting for in the preview.
Oh yeah, I find this thing. I find this thing. I set up Marianne going home, right? Yeah. I convinced Jonathan to vote with me. I also tricked
Marianne basically
Lindsay into playing an idol or something, or something of this nature, right?
Doesn't Marianne have an idol?
Marianne.
Yeah. I convinced Marianne to play the idol on me, and then I send her home. I have done this, right? This is the move.
Some master play.
Okay, so then I now win at 4, and at 4 I send Jonathan in, and I build fire against Jonathan myself, and I beat Jonathan. So now I'm sitting next to Mike. I'm Romeo sitting next to Mike and Lindsay.
Sure.
Do you vote for Romeo? I still don't think so. I think time is up.
To be fair, if you did all of that,
maybe,
which is never going to happen, but if you did honestly, if you even did half of that, it would do one thing, okay? Because it came out of nowhere. In my opinion, what it would do is it would give you credibility that you could spin a lie. I'm not saying that alone would make you win. But let's say he bangs out the next 2 immunities and that's it, okay? Maybe not all the other crazy shit. But let's say he knocks out the next 2 immunities. Bang, bang. Guarantees himself in the final and goes to the final tribal. and says, you know what, guys, it was fine. It was nice to finally flex my muscle. When I made merge, when I made merge, I made the choice to sit by the fire, eating rice, pissing people off, not doing anything, knowing that you guys would just goat me up, just herd me to the final, and I would knock each one of you out. I was in the vote for Omar to go home, as if, oh, I didn't know. I chose for him to go. I was the swing vote. Like if he does some crazy thing, winning those might give him credibility.
Robbie,
but I still don't think that's enough. I still don't think that's enough.
Ed's right. No chance.
Yeah.
Ed is right. No chance.
Because
I also think I personally,
the
completely
function of me
underestimate
talking
the
there
fact
is to say, what world might he have a chance? I'm not saying he's going to win.
there isn't one.
No,
It's not this
just-
world.
just-
It's not this world.
One point. I think I feel like as a fan, we don't actually understand how hungry he is. And I don't mean to win. I mean hungry for food. He looks
hungry.
emaciated.
He's
He
won no
he
challenges.
looked weak. You know, they sort of like made him out a week or two ago being slimy, going in to get the bottom of the rice. Hell, if I was there that hungry, I'd be going in to get the bottom of everything. Okay,
you would have to.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happened to him the second half of this game. He might have physically just not been there.
He's won no
Couldn't
challenges.
do it.
He can take it on any challenges. He's not eating. There's only rice and coconut. Sheldon's not wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's
And look,
struggling.
everybody's on the same diet, but look at the man. He didn't come out there with extra body fat to burn. Like he was
Correct.
a stick before. I don't know.
But everyone's
Kevin
not
and
on the
I
same
have
diet.
a better chance.
He's
Yeah,
not
you're
on the
right,
same
Kevin.
diet, though.
With the rewards, you're right.
Yeah, and that's the thing. As I'm looking over the rewards for the season, he has not eaten anything since
He got the cake and cookies.
5th episode. But before that, he hadn't eaten anything since the 5th episode,
Mhm.
right? And the cake and cookies was episode 12. So however many days in that span, he's won no
4.
challenges. He doesn't have done anything at all, right?
Yeah.
In addition, if I'm on the jury, I'm looking at Romeo, and Romeo just did all those masterful moves, and I would tell him, thanks for playing for 2 days. Where were you the other 24? Because I don't know what happened before, because only Roxroy, Tori, and Drea know that part. But if I'm a Chanel, I'm like, where were you the other 24 days? What were you doing?
I was getting myself here.
Sure. Okay.
I don't want to win, but I'm just.
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
but congrats. You got to the end.
It's going to have to be some Chris Underwood type stuff for Romeo, and that he's going to have to do all the things.
Even Chris Underwood, there was not with Chris coming back from the edge. It was Rick Devens to lose, and then it was kind of a crapshoot after that. As we just ran it down, he can only take out Marianne and or Lindsay, right? He can't take out Mike too. Mike is also there ahead of him. So it's not like a Chris Underwood type story where you're coming from the edge and you're like the best of
he's
what's
got
left.
a lot of people to try to pass up.
It's
I
not
think the 15
possible.
minutes that we just spent on him is more time than the jury will.
Yeah.
I think so.
So we have
other than a dragon.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to Jonathan. This is my chance to shine, y'all. So Mr. Robbie, Mr. Sheldon, Mr. Kevin, let me tell you how one Jonathan Young is going to become the winner of Survivor 42. And that is Mr. Jonathan is going to win out the immunity challenges, obviously, including some puzzles. And you know that he's going to take his time at Final Tribal Council and he's going to say, I have created an image of myself from the beginning that all I am is brawn. I'm here to catch fish. I am here to help you win challenges. But I have downplayed my intelligence starting day 1, minute 1, when we have the triangle puzzle. And I say, I only see 11 triangles. But you know what, guys? I saw a lot more triangles than that. And I have had to downplay how smart I am. Sheldon, stop laughing. Okay? And I have had to downplay that because I can't be handsome and athletic and a good leader and providing for everybody, it would be too much. Okay, you know what I mean?
Is he gonna lead with handsome? Is he gonna lead with
It's
I
Jonathan.
cannot be
It's
handsome,
Jonathan.
have this beautiful hair,
Yeah.
have these washboard abs.
Look,
Yeah.
I got these feathers in my hair, okay, and
Fabio
but
wishes he had Jonathan's body. All right.
in
That's
all
basically
seriousness, Jonathan is the only way that I can see Jonathan being able to become the winner of Survivor 42 is he does have to win all of the competitions, including a puzzle. He has to win a puzzle because one of the next two challenges is obviously going to have a puzzle, the big maze one. Then I think he has to take who he views as his biggest rival, which is Mike, into fire, and he's got to take Mike out. Like, this was my ally. I work closely with this dude, but we're too similar. We're both such likable guys, and he's going to take Mike and he's going to try to beat him in fire. Obviously, we know that will be a great mistake because he's got Marianne there. So I don't see a scenario where Jonathan looks at it and is like, hey, Marianne's my competition. I need to take her out. As viewers, we can see that. But on the island, like, so many people have had their sights set on Jonathan and they haven't had their sights set on Marianne. So I don't think Jonathan has the foresight to take Marianne out.
Well,
have they had their sights set on
isn't that
Jonathan?
the move that he
Have they?
Well,
because
only the
Lindsay
obsessed
has.
Lindsay.
Yeah. Beyond Lindsay, I don't feel like the rest of, which is why a couple episodes ago in the recap, I said, is he Xander? Because we are looking at him like, this dude's such a physical threat, but no one seems to care. They have not considered it. They've not thought about it because they're like, we don't like this dude. So since we don't like this dude, I don't have to worry about voting for this dude, even if he wins out.
So I don't think that it's I don't think that he's disliked.
He is.
I disagree. I don't think that
Lindsay
he's
said
disliked.
it, Drea said it, Hai said it.
You're like false.
Drea gave him a big hug.
Yeah.
No. They was out there, but they talked about how condescending he is, how Marianne's talked about how he treats her like a child. They've talked about these things openly.
Lindsay's mentioned that in confessionals, how she doesn't appreciate that. And there was a moment in, I forget which episode, believe it or not, I actually speed watched or sped whatever. I rewatched quickly all of the episodes today, and there was a scene where I think it was Romeo. I want to say it was Romeo, Drea, Lindsay, and Marianne was in the background, and that's exactly what they were saying. It was like, the way he talks to us, he can't get to the end just based on the way he talks to us. And it was a subtle thing, but like when you combine that with some of the other stuff that's gone on in the season, I do feel like there's an overarching kind of a negative aura hovering around him now, where I don't feel that was there pre-merge.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that he kind of had like this golden god type, aura about him, and that everybody worshipped him. Like, how could you not have? Like, he literally saved the Taku 4. You know what I mean?
So who are you saying he should sit aside for
them from drowning at sea? And so
for his best chance to win, who are you saying he should sit beside? Romeo and.
So I mean, in what we know as a viewer, his best chance to win is to sit next to Mike and Romeo. He's say Lindsay maybe gets voted out at final 5, and then he takes Romeo to the end, and Mike and Marianne go to make fire. Mike makes the fire, takes out Marianne. That's probably his best scenario. But even better scenario would be if, hey, guess what? Switcheroo, y'all. This is the final 2. Throwing it back to Cagayan. The last time that we saw a final 2. And Jonathan sits next to our boy Romeo.
We're going back to the Australian outback. It's 2 people. It is just like it used to be.
2. This is Colby and Tina 2.0, Jonathan and Romeo, and Jonathan's Tina. Okay.
Imagine if he actually dropped, he being Jeff, if he actually dropped the line, right? Okay, final 4. before we get into this final immunity challenge or whatever, actually you do have final 3, you could say it, but he could literally say, we're about to drop the 4 and keep 2. And like
That's so lame.
some
Drop the 4.
pun,
We're
some
keeping
pun,
2 of you.
some pun. I'm like, I can't. This is dad joke material, like textbook right here. This is perfect.
Yeah. So, I think that it has to be some very, very far-reaching scenarios, less far-reaching than Romeo, because I do think there's a world that, okay, final 5. Obviously, we know Mike and Marianne are going to play their idols. So Romeo, Jonathan, Lindsay, we're losing one of those 3 at the final 5, and so let's say Jonathan does pull out the victory. That gets him to final immunity challenge, presumably. And if he wins that, and like I said, he can stumble into sending Mike and Marianne into fire with each other. Marianne gets taken out. Then if he's sitting there with Mike and Romeo and himself, I don't know, like, is he able to make an argument? Because you've got Mike, who has played on this whole basis of, I am this really loyal person, and